A very useful verb is seguir. 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 S-E-G-U-I-R. Seguir. And that means to follow, but also to continue or carry on. So we could say, es importante seguir las instrucciones. It's important to follow the instructions. Or, tenemos que seguir. Tenemos que seguir. We have to continue. We have to carry on. So, seguir, to follow or to carry on. How would we say, I can't follow it. I can't follow it. No puedo seguirlo. No puedo seguirlo. How about, I can't follow it, it's too difficult. No puedo seguirlo, es demasiado difícil. No puedo seguirlo, es demasiado difícil. How about, I can't carry on. I don't have any food left. I can't carry on. I don't have any food left, or I don't have food left. Remember, we don't really need the any in Spanish. I can't carry on. I don't have food left. No puedo seguir. No me queda comida. No puedo seguir. No me queda comida. So no queda comida would be there's no food left. No me queda comida. I don't have any food left. There's no food left to me. How about, we can't carry on like this. We can't carry on like this. No podemos seguir así. No podemos seguir así. And just a note about the spelling of seguir. S-E-G-U-I-R. Not sure if you'll be able to remember. There's quite a few lessons back. But the reason why there is a U after the G, it's not pronounced. And the reason is it's to make the G G sound, a hard sound, seguir. If there wasn't a U there, it would be seguir, because if there's an I or an E after the G, it's a Ch sound. But we don't want a Ch sound, so we have to make it hard by putting a U there, seguir. So that's the reason, seguir. How would we say, it's difficult to follow this route. It's difficult to follow this route. And route is ruta. Ruta. R-U-T-A. Ruta. It's difficult to follow this route. Es difícil seguir esta ruta. Es difícil seguir esta ruta. Now we saw many lessons ago how the stem of some verbs get stressed out and change. So for example, volver, which is to return. But when we want to say I return, that O collapses and we say vuelvo. The O collapses into UE, vuelvo. And we saw that that also happens in some verbs where the E goes to IE. So pensar, to think, I think, is pienso, pienso. Now there are also some of these stem change in verbs, these stressed out verbs, where the E changes to an I. And seguir is one of those verbs. So if you want to say I carry on, it should be sego, but in fact it's sigo. The E changes to an I. So to say I carry on, it's sigo. To say you carry on, sigues. They carry on, siguen. Now when you say sigo, you don't need the U anymore after the G, because it's an O, it's not an I or an E, so automatically the G is a G sound, the G is a G sound, so we don't need a U to make it hard. So sigo, I follow, is spelled S-I-G-O, sigo. How would we say they carry on? Siguen, siguen, siguen. How about I carry on even when it rains? I carry on even when it rains. And even, there's a few different words for this, but we'll use incluso, incluso, I-N-C-L-U-S-O, incluso. Think of it as including, incluso. So I carry on even when it rains would be sigo incluso cuando llueve. Sigo incluso cuando llueve. How would we say carry on as a command? Carry on. Sigue, sigue. S-I-G-U-E, sigue. So how would we say carry on, I'll be with you soon. Carry on, I'll be with you soon. Sigue, estaré contigo pronto. Sigue, estaré contigo pronto. How about carry on, there's not much left. Carry on, there's not much left. Sigue, no queda mucho. Sigue, no queda mucho. And how would we say, we follow this book? We follow this book. For example, in class, in clase, we follow this book. And remember that the stem doesn't change with we, because we've got our own way of getting to we in the present. See if you can remember. So, we follow this book. Seguimos este libro. Seguimos este libro. Because we know that in the present, for we just take off the R and add mos. So, seguimos este libro en clase. And here are another two verbs that work in this way, where the E changes to an I, the stem. And those are repetir, repetir, to repeat, and decir, to say or to tell. Repetir, and decir. Repetir, decir. So he repeats is repite. Not repete, repite. And he says or he tells, dice. D-I-C-E. Dice. Repite, dice. How would we say this? Quite a long phrase. He says that there are 2 people left in the queue. He says that there are 2 people left in the queue. And the queue, la cola. C-O-L-A, la cola. So he says that there are 2 people left in the queue. Dice que quedan 2 personas en la cola. Dice que quedan 2 personas en la cola. How about this one? They say that we can't carry on, even if we pay. They say that we can't carry on, even if we pay. Dicen que no podemos seguir, incluso si pagamos. Dicen que no podemos seguir, incluso si pagamos. How would we say, repeat it, please? Repeat it, please. Repítelo, por favor. Repítelo, por favor. So, repite is the he or she, and we know that that's also the same for the imperative or the command, and we just add the lo onto the command. Repítelo, por favor. Repeat it, please. Okay, here's a tricky one. He repeats himself all the time. He repeats himself all the time. So think of it, get the verb, he repeats, and then what is it that we add to make it himself or herself? Myself is me. Now don't think it's le, because that just means him or her. So he repeats himself all the time. Se repite todo el tiempo. Se repite todo el tiempo. Okay, let's go back a level or two. How do we say, I was speaking? I was speaking. Estaba hablando. Estaba hablando. What about, I was driving? Estaba conduciendo. Estaba conduciendo. So we know that ing, ing, is ando or yendo, hablando, speaking, or yendo, conduciendo, driving. Most of the time, in Spanish, we just use the infinitive after verbs when it's the second verb. So, for example, we don't say, I like speaking Spanish. We say, I like to speak Spanish. Me gusta hablar español. So in English, we say I like, and then the second verb is ing. But most of the time in Spanish, the second verb is to. So I love not driving, but I love to drive. Me encanta conducir. But there are a couple of occasions, a couple of verbs, a few verbs, where ing is used in the second verb, just like in English. And one is after seguir. So, to carry on speaking, we say seguir hablando in the same way as we would in English. Seguir hablando. To say carry on working, we say seguir trabajando. Seguir trabajando. So after seguir, the second verb is an ing. Ando or yendo. And that's not normally the case in Spanish, but here it is. How could you say, you can't carry on smoking like this? You can't carry on smoking like this. No puedes seguir fumando así. No puedes seguir fumando así. What about, I can't carry on singing. My throat hurts. I can't carry on singing. My throat hurts. And to sing is cantar. C-A-N-T-A-R. Cantar. So I can't carry on singing. My throat hurts. No puedo seguir cantando. Me duele la garganta. No puedo seguir cantando. Me duele la garganta. How about a command? Carry on working. Carry on working. Sigue trabajando. Sigue trabajando. About another command. Carry on doing what you were doing. Carry on doing what you were doing. Sigue haciendo lo que estabas haciendo. Sigue haciendo lo que estabas haciendo. How about, I carried on listening to my teacher. I carried on listening to my teacher. Seguí escuchando a mi profesor. Seguí escuchando a mi profesor. So a couple of things here. Seguí, there's no stem change there because it's not the present tense, and the stem change only occurs in the present tense. So it's just a normal verb, seguí. Seguí escuchando a mi profesor. Now that to, is not because it's listen to my teacher. In Spanish, we don't say listen to, we just say listen. So for example, escuchar música is to listen to music. We don't say escuchar a música. Escuchar música, to listen to music. So that's not the reason why there's an a, that's escuchar a mi profesor. It's because it's the personal a, the personal a, because my teacher is a person. So, seguí escuchando a mi profesor.